Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy and I am kind of experimenting a little bit today. This is a 12-inch MDF round and I'm going to use the bloom recipe. I'm going to do some sort of a swipe. I wanted to do kind of another attempt at the comb over because my first one looked sort of like the Wolverine painted it, but I think I'm going to use a skewer to wreck it this time, and we'll see. It's not going to be the last time I mess with it. And I'm going to put down my pillow paint because there's a very good chance that I'm going to have to keep messing with it, and I don't want this to be too long. So I'm going to show you kind of the colors as we go, and I'm sort of still deciding. Also, I'm going to use a copper cell activator that is quite old, so I'm just taking all kinds of chances today. And it's a mix between Atelier Interactive and I think some Amsterdam copper I had. It was when I very first opened up my Atelier tube, and it was kind of funky when I opened it, and so because it seemed a little thick, I mixed it with one I already had mixed up, which was Amsterdam at the time, just to kind of give it some insurance. Since it's a swipe, it will probably be okay. I probably wouldn't trust it for a bloom, but since it's a swipe, we can probably take some chances. So as always, I have a mixing video listed in the description box below where I talk about the various bloom ingredients that I use and kind of why. There's a big chunk of a booger in there. Not a real booger, of course, a paint booger. Anyway, that's in the description box below. I'm currently using Glidden Essentials, Glidden Premium in Eggshell finish as my pillow today. But I have used others. I like Color Place from Walmart in satin finish. It is a little thick sometimes, so sometimes on the edges you can get some flocculation because of how thick it is. But other than that, it's a really great pillow, and it's a little more cost effective. So if you're practicing a lot and taking some chances with techniques, and you don't want to just spend a whole lot going through paint. I used to use oopsie paint that I would find in the shelves at Home Depot and Lowe's, and I still have a lot of it, and I would practice with that kind of stuff because when you pay $9 for a gallon of oopsie paint, you'll take a few more chances than when you pay $25. So what I want to do today, I was really torn about which direction to go. I want to do something sort of like a wrecked swipe. It'll probably be negative spacey to a point. I was debating, sorry, I'm really trying to adjust this camera because I have a weird lighting situation. I was really debating on whether or not to go ahead and do a kind of a swirled background and use that as the negative space. But I decided for this one not to. So let's get started. I am using a few colors today. I'm kind of torn about which colors to use. Like I said, I think I'm going to put a little bit of black here, and I'm either going to use a Prizm Pour sample up here or use it in the actual pour. I'm torn because when you're using a copper cell activator, one of the colors I want to use is a future Prizm Pour color that I only have a sample of right now, and I believe it's going to be called Wild Yams, and it's sort of like a nickel as a gold, but with a lot of sparkle. So it should be really cool. But I think because I'm going to use this copper cell activator, I'm going to use a reddish sample on the top instead and use the wild yams kind of in the middle. So anyway, that's my external processing. I don't know if that happens to those of you guys who paint, but I have all these creative ideas in my head, and then when it's time to paint, it's like they jumble up together and I can't make a decision. It's super frustrating to me. And so I'm going to put a nice big layer of the black down here first. My hope is that this will sort of become the bottom half of the painting. So this is Matisse Carbon Black. And then, move this out of the way. I'm also using up some colors that I have like very little of, but they kind of go with the colors here. So if it seems like I'm using a lot of color, part of the reason I'm doing that is to use some colors that I've had mixed up for a while. So that is the Matisse Carbon Black. I love Matisse paints, especially these fluid paints. They're nice and like creamy, kind of easy to use. This is a little too full, but this is a Prizm Pour sample. It doesn't have a name, and it's a beautiful red. So I was thinking that this would be kind of a cool top layer. And my goodness, what a mess. So I don't know how well that light is picking up, but it's a beautiful color. So let's see about putting this one up here. I think I'm probably gonna put the nickel azo color, the wild yams, kind of in the middle. Oh, look what I did there. Awesome. Pretty sure we're gonna go through that and it's gonna be fine, but just on the off chance that that doesn't happen like it's gonna be in my head, I would hate to have to spend all afternoon trying to clean that guy up right there. So we're just gonna kind of make it look like I didn't do that, just in case. These are the things that sometimes you don't plan for, right? So if it happened to make it in there now, it doesn't look too bad. I'm going to add a little bit of color over here, just in case, because I have some naked spots. And I do have a couple of bubbles. I'm going to get a toothpick and pop those. I have a big one right here where I just added some stuff. So I have some in the black, and sometimes those bubbles happen when you stir it up after it's been sitting there. I usually try very hard to mix up the paint, let it sit, let some of the bubbles come to the surface, but that's not a perfect science, obviously. So now the colors I'm going to use is I'm going to put down some of that wild yams color. It's so pretty. I'm going to use another Prizm Pour sample called Marooned, which is sort of like a burgundy, like a plum type burgundy color. It's really pretty. I'm going to spread this out, this little puddle out a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe it's all just going to go together. All right then, as you wish. And I'm going to swipe across the center of these, and then I'm going to kind of wreck the color into the sides, or from both sides into the middle. So I first saw Shelly do something similar with a comb over swipe, where she used a comb, and my first efforts with a comb were not great. I will try again, but today I'm gonna live on the edge a little bit less and use a skewer, since I'm already living on the edge with my cell activator being kind of old. And when I say old, I mean like I mixed it up in April and we're in September. Like, you don't do those things, you know. So, but I am gonna try to use it because I have a lot of it, and if it works, you'll see a lot of potential copper swipes, because I'd rather use it than waste it. So if it doesn't work, then we may have something completely different than I intended. So we'll find out. I also have some Australian Red Violet out here from Matisse, which we may use. I have golden, no, sorry, I'm reading the label wrong. I have an olive green color from Matisse. I have Mango Mamba from Colourarte. I have Ember Fire from Colourarte. So I have a lot of things that we could potentially work with. So let me show you this Wild Yams color. I think I'm going to put a little strip of it in between those two. Because why not, you know? Because I would like it to show in the pour, but because it is kind of a coppery color, I don't want it to be right next to the cell activator. So this is it. So pretty. So very pretty. There's a clump of something in there. So let's put a nice line of that right down the middle here. My refrigerator is knocking, in case you hear it. No one is at the door. It's just making some noises. And so I'm just going to put a nice thick amount right here. Obviously have a lot more red showing than I do black, so I'm not sure how that's going to pan out, but we'll find out. And this color is so pretty. Now, if you're not familiar with Golden's Nickel Azo Gold, it's like this magical color that doesn't seem like it's going to go with everything, but it seems to go with whatever you put it with. It's so weird. It's like a very warm color, and then you can put it with cool colors and it seems to work. No reason why that should work, but it does, and it's really strange. And it makes a bunch of like secondary beautiful colors when it kind of mixes with other things that you have in your mix. So it's a really fun color to use. So I'm really excited to see a potential prism pour in a similar color. All right, so I'm going to put down, I have some colors that I need to use up because they're about to dry out on me. So this is Crimson Lust. This is from the Metallic Bling It set, Ancient Treasures. So I'm gonna put that closer to the black. It's a beautiful red. It looks a little cloudy right now because I have some gel medium or some golden gel gloss in my mix, which sometimes makes it look cloudier when it's wet, but it dries perfectly clear. But when I say it is a beautiful red, it is a showstopper, especially when it dries and gets under some resin. Every time I've used it, people ask me about what the color is all the time, so it's a really beautiful color. So naturally, since it kind of goes with what we're doing here, I don't want it to dry up if we can use it, right? And then I'm going to use some of the Marooned color. I think I am going to use a little bit of this Matisse olive color, just because I've never used it before. And I think I'm going to use a little indigo, just for some added contrast. Sorry about these bubbles. Bubbles, bubbles. I popped one and created another one. How rude. So, I hope everybody's doing well today. Sorry to spend time popping bubbles with you, but it's part of the process, you know? Okay, so the olive color is, this is a Matisse fluid color. It's just a nice olive green. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of it down here, put a little next to this Crimson Lust. And then we're gonna put a little indigo. Some Marooned. I wonder if I should just use Boom Gel instead of using indigo. Maybe I'll do that. Manna Crab Blue Boom Gel is kind of an indigo color, so that would accomplish something similar. I just kind of want a little bit of contrast, breaking up some of our super warm autumn colors. But you know, it is September here in the US. We should be having fall pretty soon, although it was like 100 degrees here today in Texas, which seems all kinds of wrong. Shouldn't still be 100, maybe 90 something, but it shouldn't still be 100. And let's see. Let me show you this Marooned color. This is also a Prizm Pour sample. So this is not out yet, but it's a beautiful color. Let's put some, kind of want to put it here, but I'm running out of space where I need to be able to swipe without getting too much in my solid colors. So I need to maybe chill with putting on too much paint. I hope this turns out well and it doesn't just turn out to be a disaster. Anyway, so this was loosely inspired by the comb over swipes. It probably won't look like that, but that's what it's been. I think they're a lot of fun, so I'm gonna kind of get it down. Okay, we'll put a little Australian Red Violet from Matisse closer to the black side of things, but not, well, maybe kind of all over, right? Because we need to not put too much paint where we're going too wide here, because the palette knife I'm going to swipe with, I really don't want it to be too wide. And this is kind of, I'll make that work. And also running out of space to put this stuff down over here. Let's put a little Mango Mamba. This is a primary element from the Wildflowers set. And I need to mix it up for you, but a little pop of yellow in there, like a golden yellow, super pretty. It's a little thick because it's been mixed up a long time. Let me thin it down with a little Jo Sonja water. And I'm losing so much paint off the side here, it's crazy. All right, let's just add a little bit of color. It's such a beautiful color. And then we'll put a little Manna Crab Boom Gel on, and I am going to use a little bit of gold. So lots of color in here. Put quite a bit of that on there. But primary elements are semi-transparent, or translucent. So even though we put a lot on there, it's still going to allow some of the other colors beneath it to show through. So pop a couple bubbles. I'm going to use a little bit of Indian Spice for a gold, which is also a Bling It color from Colourarte. Don't forget that there is a 20% discount code for Colourarte in the description box below. It's Mandy1120. You can save 20% off of anything on the website with the code. And there's also one for Pixel Paint Designs where I get my boom gels and my Australian Floetrol. That's listed below as well. And that's all caps, I think, Mandy15. So don't forget to take advantage of those discounts. All right, Indian Spice, beautiful gold. So we're just gonna kind of drizzle it here. I love a good pop of gold. And I definitely need to not add too much paint because we're already pretty wide where our swipe tool needs to go. So move this out of the way. I was going to use a little ember fire, but I think I've used enough paint. We'll add just a little bit of the Manna Crab Blue Boom Gel, which I'm adding for two reasons. For one, some contrast with the little blue, and for two, since I'm using Old Cell Activator, the Boom Gel is really good about helping those cells form. If we're using an Old Cell Activator, it's very helpful. So it'll serve two purposes. And I'm losing so much paint off the sides. It's a major bummer. I've already lost a lot of it. Okay. So I'm going to cover my tool. Just getting a couple of these bubbles so they don't get to be too difficult to pop or ruin our swipe. I've had so many bubbles lately. And okay, so the palette knife I'm using is from Colourarte. It's my favorite one. I use it all the time. I think I definitely buried a couple of those colors in there. So I'm going to put the cell activator on the reverse side of it and we're going to swipe with it. I'm going to have to get some of these. Some of these bubbles in a little while because they're fierce. I'm going to add a little more black because we definitely have more red than we do black. My hope is that it will cover both sides, so, or at least if it doesn't, that we can make it look like we did it on purpose. So where's my swiper? Where did I put it? There it is. So this is the one we're using right here. And I'm going to put the cell activator on the back. I want a good amount, not too much, but also not too little, because if you put too little, then you tend to swipe your color, and that's not what you want. You want to glide it across the color. So I think I put too much though. And if you're having trouble with blooms, I find swipes are a little easier to get down. They're not easy by any stretch, but they're a little easier than kind of getting the blow down on blooms. So sometimes if you kind of need to give yourself a win in between the practice, they're kind of a nice thing. All right, so I'm gonna take this, so here's my thing, and I'm going to go like this. And I'm a little scared because I see no cell reaction. It's starting to happen. Scary, right? That's what happens when you use cell activator that's too thick or too old, but you can help it. Just breaking the surface tension so the cells will come through. Some really nice cells here on the end. So this may be, ooh, I slid on my little puppy pad. This may be a failed effort, but I think it's gonna work. They're coming through slowly but surely, but again, that's one of the reasons why I used Boom Gel, is Boom Gel helps sometimes make your Old Cell Activator a lot more user-friendly when you use it right at the top. So I'm just popping some bubbles while I'm giving it a chance to sell up. Going to see if I can't help get this to the end a little bit. It's not perfect, you guys, but the cells are coming through. They're just taking a lot longer to form. So when I'm blowing on it, I'm not necessarily trying to blow through anything. I'm just breaking the surface tension so the cells that are trying to develop will come through, because that cell activator is thick. For one, Atelier is a thicker paint. For two, it's been sitting in that container for 5 months. So I didn't thin it down. I didn't do anything to help it, which I probably should have, but I didn't. So it's just gonna develop. Let me pause you for a little bit, let it develop a little bit more. So this is not the longest video ever, and then we will wreck it. All right, so the cells did develop. It took a little effort, but they developed. So I'm gonna use, still really nervous about how little black is on this side compared to the red on the other side. I'm going to use this wrecking stick. I think I am gonna add a little more black over here, because when I tilt it, ideally I want the negative space to be the red and the black. I don't want it to be like, you know, red and black and then one random thing of white. You know what I mean? So that's what I was going for. If the white looks intentional and not like a weird color block, I don't mind that. And I know I'm wasting a lot of paint to accomplish this, but. So I'm gonna take the thicker side of the wrecking stick, and since I'm not doing the actual comb over, I'm going to kind of mimic it a little bit. So I'm gonna go like this. Really need to get a wipey. And I should have gone through the black to the other side, but I didn't, so. And I'm gonna kind of come equal to that. I'm gonna come over here. I don't like what I just did there. But I can put more black on that. What I should be doing is going like this. To make it look like it flows a little bit better. And then I'm gonna do this. Now where I don't like what I did, I'm just gonna dab it and get that little goofy looking part up and kind of curve it this way. And if I find out I'm not gonna have any, if I find out I'm gonna have white showing, I could come in and add some things on this side to make sense of it. There's this weird white part showing, which we may just kind of have to work with. So now, where I have this kind of going the other way, I'm just gonna help it go this way. And then I'm gonna turn it around, and I'm gonna kind of follow that trajectory over here. Oops, I almost messed it up. I mean, we're wrecking it, so it's not like a giant deal if it didn't go the way we wanted it to. I don't like how I drug all that white through there, but so I think I'm gonna try to be a little less heavy with the way I'm wrecking it. Kind of messed up right there, so I'm gonna take the smaller end of the skewer. There seems to be more white pillow coming through this time. And what I'm worried about is as that spins out, what that's going to look like. But, and let's see, I'm going to give it one more and kind of see what comes of it. And where it's kind of doing some goofy stuff, I'm going to see if I can't drag the copper and kind of break it up a little bit. A huge bubble right here. I think that's a bubble. Maybe something else. So I hope that you guys are at least mildly entertained with my experiment. I realized how long this was taking me, and I was like, this is going to hopefully not give me that weird ring of pillow that dries because your pillow starts to dry because you're taking too long. So I tried to help it while I was popping bubbles, but there's definitely going to be a little white that shows here. But I think we're making this wispy enough where it won't spread out. That's what my hope is anyway. All right, so now I'm just going to take a little bit of the copper and help extend it. So it's kind of strange looking, kind of looks like fire. I mean, not exactly, obviously, but it has a little bit of a fiery fall feel to it. Kind of like the way this looks when it comes down here, because in black that copper always looks super cool. So I'm going to pick it up. This is the part I'm a little nervous about, and I'm going to try to bring some of the color down here and kind of off the end, because my hope is that as we spin, we're going to get just red and black negative space. That's my hope. And I feel like I just went way out of view. Let me stand on the stool so I can see if you guys can see what I'm doing. Sorry if you couldn't. Now I'm doing this really slow because I don't want to like compromise the design just to get it to the edge, and that's why I use so much black. Now I don't mind if we have less black than we have red, but I am going to try to kind of tilt it a little bit back, just a little bit. I think it's pretty cool. And then we're going to spin it. The only thing is, I lost part of that edge, sadly, where we tilted. So I'm going to try to see if I can't make sense of that on this side. But I think it's going to spin off. So maybe I should just relax about it and go for the spinning. Now I do see a little dot, looks like a pillow bubble in the black, and that's going to take a little effort to pop those, because if something pops and that white shows through on black, it's going to be pretty noticeable. But let's go ahead and spin and see what happens. You can see how this could make someone nervous, because there's always a chance that you won't have enough paint on or whatever the case is. But that's why I used a lot of pillow paint in the beginning. Now I did spin quite a bit off already, so kind of like it. I kind of want to get this one part that has like a tail kind of off. And so, but we do need to spin gently. Let me get a toothpick real quick because there's something in the paint. And instead of doing what I know I should have done, getting that with a toothpick, I got it with tweezers. All right, let's gently spin. There is still a little bit flying off, so I think we're gonna have kind of a cool design. There are still a couple bubbles we need to pop, but what do y'all think? It's kind of funky, kind of cool, different. I know it's not technically the comb over because I didn't use a comb, but I did something a little different. Now, there is a part like this is getting kind of crazy looking. Kind of wonky, a little bit too big of a cell. I don't think anybody would notice that the way I am noticing it. So I need to not obsess about it, but those are the things I notice. I like the kind of the smaller cells, but you know, when you do that much tilting and spinning, you're gonna get them. There are some places where the edges are not completely covered, so I'm gonna help it along a little bit. I'm just trying to find a place where I can grab some paint. It's gonna continue to come to the edge there. My hands are so covered in paint that I can't even seem to like center this thing because I can't touch the edges. All right, let's give it another shot. Again, this one weird loopy loop part bothers me a little, but by and large, I think it's really cool. For the first time taking that kind of a chance, I'm gonna call it a win. Learning to be a little more gracious with myself. I'm tempted to mess with that. Like wreck it a little bit. I'm not sure I can do that without really messing it up. I do have some edges of the MDF kind of trying to show. So let me pause you for a second. Let me clean my hands and I'll be back. Everyone, sorry for the super long video, but that's what happens when you try new things. So here is our close-up. Here is the bottom. I assume the bottom. I don't really know which direction, but like what I did in the middle wasn't all that different than what I do with a regular negative space swipe, I realized, but it took a lot of bravery to do it with two different colors in the background that were not pillow paint, you know? So let me just kind of take you around town here, and then let's look at some of the details. So this is the left side. It honestly ends up selling up really nicely. Just had to give it some time, so good to know. And the part that I didn't like, where I kind of got some of the white paint in the bottom here, now I really like it. It's probably one of my favorite parts. Go figure, right? This is the part I struggle with because I think that this cell is just really too big. But I briefly thought about wrecking it, and I could tell, you can see where I kind of messed with it a little bit. I could tell that it was going to be worse than what it is now. So, so yeah, let me know what you think. I love the wispiness where the copper goes into the black. I think that always looks super cool. I love all of the colors. I think they go really nicely together. I think the Mango Mamba was a nice touch. It kind of just adds this pop of golden yellow, like a warm yellow. And I love the lacing right there. Anyway, this is like the super longest video, so I don't know why I'm going on and on, but you know, sometimes when you try new things and you take a chance, it's fun when it is not a complete failure. You can see where the olive green is in there. It's kind of subtle, but it's in there. So yeah, let me know, what do you think? What do you think of the color combos? Kind of different, right? But we're supposed to be in fall, so I figured it's kind of fall-like. And what do you think for the direction? Do you like the black on the top with the red on the bottom? Would you turn it around and do it this way? It's kind of different. Or would you like be real funky and do it this way? So love to know what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you're new, please like and subscribe. Let me know you're here. Thank you to everyone who faithfully watches. I so appreciate your support and encouragement. Would this big part bother you guys? It bothers me a little bit, but this part kind of reminds me of corn nuts. That's not really very artsy, but kind of looks like corn. Anyway, let me know what you think. Appreciate you guys. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.